You are now tuned in to Winnie Luna Nahyan Eduk channel and other related topics in mathematics with motivation to win math every day through practice and exercises. In this episode, we are going to discuss about relations and functions. This is a very interesting topic, a very nice lesson that our learners, our students should know. So, relations and here we have the following relevant questions. What is a relation? What is a function? What are the characteristics of a function? How do you determine if a relation is a function? How is a function different from a relation? And why is it important to know which variable is the independent variable? Now, we have here the first relevant question. What is a relation? In mathematics, it is a connection between a set of inputs and a set of outputs. So this means that from input to an output. Now, it has to be understood that before the output, there is a condition being in place for us to get an output. Then it is relation between two variables x and y. So there are two variables involved here. Then it is a set of ordered pairs. So we can also see a relation in terms of ordered pairs. We say it's an ordered pair because the first component is the abscissa and the second component is the ordinate. So in here, it can be understood that our x here as our input and our y as our output. It can be viewed as a mapping from x and to y via a given condition. As I have already mentioned earlier, that there's a condition of uh, of working out the output from the input. Then there are three types of relation. We have one-to-one relation, and as you can see in the illustration here, A, B, C, D, and E. Uh, each element here in the first column is matched with a unique element in the second column. So there is what we call ontoness. Every element here is paired with exactly one element on the other side. So this is what we call one-to-one relation. Then we have the many-to-one relation. As you can see in the illustration, all the elements here are matched to a single element. And in this particular illustration, R is mapped or paired to 6. S is paired to the same number. T is paired to the same number. U is paired to the same number. And B paired to the same number. So that makes it many to one relation. Then the third one, we have one to many relation. A single element here is paired with multiple elements over here. So that makes it one-to-many relation. Now, the illustration is quite clear for one-to-one, many-to-one, and one-to-many relations. Then we have here illustrations and examples. The first one, it is in terms of ordered pairs. We can see that there's no first component of the ordered pairs which are equal or the same. And for the second component of the ordered pairs, there is no repetition of the numbers. So we can say that this set of ordered pairs is, of course, a relation. And since every first component of the ordered pair is paired with a unique second component, so every abscissa has a unique ordinate or y coordinate, we can say that this is a one-to-one relation. Then the second illustration, again, which is taken from the first illustration from the ordered pairs. So this further illustrates that the first illustration as well as the second illustration, these are all one-to-one relations. And here, for the second illustration, the domain is given. The domain is provided. We have -3, -1, 0, 2, 4, 5. So we have to understand that the domain are simply the x values in the table in illustration number 2. But the domain here is also taken from the ordered pairs in the first illustration. For the range, these are the numbers from the y values in the second illustration as well as the second components of the ordered pairs or the ordinates of the ordered pairs given in the first illustration. Okay. Then another illustration here, mapping, another way of showing a relation. Again, you can see that the arrows here, from here, from here, each element here is paired with a unique element right here. Okay, so the arrows illustrate another way of showing a relation, and this one is what we call mapping. Now, we have this relevant question: what is a function? A function is a special kind of relation where every input goes to exactly one output. So it could be understood that not all relations are functions. Okay, not all relations are functions. And the converse, all functions are relations. That's quite interesting. Okay, which of the relations is our function? So we have here some illustrations. Following the definition of a function, the relations which are functions are one-to-one and many-to-many. to 1. So these are the relations which are functions. The relation which is one to many is not a function. It is just a mere relation. So here, the first illustration, let's focus on the x coordinates of the ordered pairs. You see that no two ordered pairs have the same first components. So by that, we can say that this illustration is a function. Same also in the second illustration. For the x values, we can see that no x value repeated here. By that, we can say that this second illustration is also a function. In here also, in the third illustration, we see we see that there are numbers here which are associated with two different values here. For example, 0 is associated to 0 and 1. 4 and 5 is associated also to 0 and 5. So there is no unique association of 0 and 5 to the other side of the numbers. So we can say that this mapping does not represent or illustrate, demonstrate a function. Okay, in this illustration, we have here A, B. Okay, we have here A, then B. We have to determine which of the mapping here represents a function. For choice B, we can see that -1 is associated to two different numbers here, 3 and -2. So by this, we can say that choice B is a mapping which does not represent a function. But right here in choice A, every element here is mapped or associated to a single number right here. And by that, we can say that this relation mapping represents a function. Another illustration here, it is similar to the previous one. For choice A, we can see that in the domain 2, that is associated to 3 different variables in the range which are A, B, and C. And choice B, every element in the domain is associated with a single element in the range. And by that, we can say that the relation here, which is many to one, is a function. Now, let us also discuss or know what we mean by discrete and continuous relation. Discrete relation, it is a relation where the domain is a set of individual points. Continuous relation, a relation that can be graphed with a line or smooth curve. So do not forget what we mean by discrete relation. And continuous relation. As you can see here, the graph, we have here discrete relation. You can see we have here points, individual points. The set of points does not form or show a line, or shall we say the points are not connected to each other. That makes it discrete. And while here we can see that we have a set of connected points, and in fact it formed no it formed a line here. So what I mean here, that by graphing we can determine if the relation is discrete or continuous, like this one. Now, what is this vertical line test? Vertical line test, it is a test that is used if a relation is a function. And by this vertical line, we can determine if a relation is a function if this line, this vertical line, passes through only one point. Or we call this one also as the pencil test. Take a pencil and move it from left to right. If it crosses more than one point in the given graph, it is not a function. For the illustration, look at this one. Now we have here a graph here. By pencil test, you can see we have a vertical line which is represented by a pencil. Now if you move the pencil, okay, it crosses only at a single point. So the graph is representing uh, another here. Let's see. Let's apply the pencil test. Okay, look. Okay, it crosses, no? There were 2 points of intersection between the graph and the vertical line represented by the pencil. So this graph does not does not represent a function. What about this one? Is the following function discrete or continuous? What is the domain? What is the range? Now, we can see the individual points. And by that, we can easily say that this one is a discrete. No? Type of function, discrete. What is the domain? So domain, that is the set of the x coordinates of the points. You can see here, this point here has an x coordinate that is -7. This one is 1. Then this is 5, 5. Then we have this point. The x coordinate is 7. No, 5. Then we have also this. This one, the x coordinate is 7, 7. This one is 8, and this is 10. So these are the x coordinates of the points over here. Then the range, 1 here for this point, 0 for this point. This point has coordinates 1, 0. Then this has coordinates 5, 5, -7. So that's the y coordinate. Then this point has coordinates 7, 7, 5. So here we have 5. the y-coordinate of this point, then 2, this point here, this has coordinates 8, 2, so the y-coordinate is 2, then this 8 is this point. This has coordinates 10, 8, so this 8 is in the range. Okay? Okay, another illustration. You can see that the graph here is made of connected points, and by that we can say that this graph represents a continuous function. Now, in determining the domain as well as the range of the function represented by this graph, we have to take note that the graph is made up of connected points. And every point on the graph has an x coordinate as well as the y coordinate. Take note that the graph here is continuous, that is made up of a set of connected points. And every point on this graph has coordinates. For the x coordinate, we're talking about set of connected points, and every point has coordinates. That's an ordered pair. And the x coordinate, which is the abscissa, the first component of the ordered pair, taken from -8 to 8. That is why we have to say that that domain here starts from -8 up to +8. I said all the numbers from -8 to +8. Those numbers are used as x coordinates of the points on this graph. Now, for the range, we have here -6, 6. Look at the last point of the graph. Here, this point has coordinates 8, -6, this point. So, the x coordinate here is 8. That's why we have it here. Then the y coordinate I mean, which is -6, is here. Because the y coordinates of the points here starts from -6 up to 6. This point has coordinates. This is 5, 5, 6. That is why here 6. So from 6 down to -6, those are the numbers used as the y coordinates of the points on this graph, and that becomes your range. Okay, in this illustration here, we have a graph that is made up of a set of connected points. And again, similar to the previous one, this is a graph representing a continuous function. Now, the x coordinates of the points on this graph are the numbers. Look at this point, align it here on the x-axis. It starts at 0. And the last part of the graph is right here. Align it to the x-axis. You have 45. That is why our domain is 0 to 45. The numbers from 0 up to including 45 are the x-coordinates of the points on this graph. That's our domain. Now, for the range, you can see that here aligned to the y-axis, the lowest point here is aligned to this 10. And the last point here is aligned to 70. So that means to say that the y coordinates of the points on this graph are taken from 70 down to 10. That is why our range is the closed interval 10, 70. That's the range. Now, we have here which situation represents a function. So this is a kind of, say, application. Let's apply what we learned about function. The items in a store to their prices on a certain date. Types of fruits to their colors. Which of the two represent a function? In here, it is letter A. Letter A. That is because there is only one price for each different item on a certain date. The relation from items to price makes it a function. While the second choice, if fruit such as an apple from the domain would be associated with more than one color, such as red and green, that's true. Then the relation from types of fruits to their colors is not a function. Because again, apple can be associated to two different colors. It can be red or it can be green. So it is the first choice which represents a function. Then the number of shoes in x pairs of shoes can be expressed by the equation y equals 2x. So what is the dependent variable? So the number of pairs of shoes, that is our dependent variable. The number of shoes or pairs of shoes. What is the dependent variable? The dependent variable here is the total number of shoes. Okay? So again, we have here an illustration about the use of function in the real life. Okay, we have another illustration, a real life illustration. Mr. Landry is driving to his hometown. It takes 4 hours to get there. The distance he travels at any time t is represented by the function d equals 55t. That is the average speed of Mr. Landry. So in this case, our independent variable is the time that he drives. And the dependent variable is the total distance traveled. So take note in this particular example that the total distance traveled is dependent, no? Is dependent on the time spent in driving. Another illustration, Johnny bought at most 10 tickets to a concert for him and his friends. The cost of each ticket was 112 pesos and 50 cents. Our dependent variable here is the number of tickets bought, while the dependent variable is the total cost of the tickets. Again, the total amount to be paid in this particular example is dependent on the number of tickets a buyer would want to have, or the number of tickets that Johnny would like to have for him and his friends. My friends, those are the topics about relations and functions. I hope that those concepts are understood and you can apply that one in the real life situations and topics in the upcoming lessons. Thank you very much for watching.